Wonder how it would have been reacted if Baker wore those shorts. Wonder what the take would have been if Baker
wouldn't even be in the league anymore.
Look at him
wouldn't even be
drawing
in the league
attention
anymore.
to himself.
I'm sending you a
If he
Baker
has the
Mayfield
career
jersey,
Ryan
Nick.
does, I'll be happy. All right, big NFC South showdown on Sunday. You got your Bucs, you got your Saints. Remember, the Saints took the season opener. Sure, that sat well with Brady. Our friends over at Fox Bet have the 6-2 Bucs favored by 5 over the 5-2 Saints. So let's start there. Nick, you surprised the Bucs are such heavy favorites here?
No. I'm not surprised that right now they're a very public team. Everyone loves Tampa Bay and the Gronkaneers. Everyone, listen, they're the favorites in the NFC to go to the Super Bowl, which is hilarious. Brandon's got them on the same tier as the Chiefs, which is just delightful. And people love betting on them. Now, I'm happy about it because you were allowed to get the Saints, who are a better team, and 6 points. So that, to me, that was great. And if you, by the way, I said 6, and I'm looking at the Pulse of Vegas. I'm checking it right now. Okay, that's what I thought, because it opened at 6, and now it's down to 5. So some of the sharper money, some of the smarter money is going on the Saints, some of the public money on the Bucs, because, Brandon, everyone thinks the Bucs are this super fun team that we're going to pretend the Giants game didn't happen and the Bears game didn't happen, and we're just going to look at their wins, and Brady's feeling great, and they're adding AB. But I need to see them beat the Saints before I can say they're better than the Saints, Brandon. And thus far this season, they're 0 for 1 in that regard.
Nick, I've sat in this chair for, 3-4 months now. And I've heard you give betting advice across all sports, baseball, basketball, in the bubble, playoffs. Who's going to be the MVP? Who's going to hit six runs, whatever. Like, I heard you over and over again. So tell me right now, who are you betting on this week between the Bucs and the Saints?
So I already bet on the Saints plus the points, and I'm going to put it back to you for a moment. I will bet on the Saints to win the game outright if we get some type of idea of what is going on with Michael Thomas. Does he play for them anymore?
Yeah.
Is he going to play this week? Like, this is such a.
Right.
I've texted you about this every Sunday for 3 weeks. Like, what is happening with Michael Thomas? I do think, and even though I'm not as high on the Bucs as you are, I do think, obviously, they're in a far, far stronger position if the Saints don't have Michael Thomas and they can just really focus their efforts on stopping Alvin Kamara. As you've talked about, those two guys are like 75% of the Saints' offense typically.
Yeah, something funky's going on in New Orleans with Michael Thomas. Wilds, look, here's the deal. Before the season, I said it. This team is not going to be really good. They'll be decent in the regular season. Talking about the Saints, they'll be decent in the regular season, and then they'll implode in the postseason like they have done for the last several years. And everybody crushed me for that. Right now, they are overachieving. This is the best coaching job Coach Payton has ever done. Why did I say that? Because when you take away 41, you take away 13, Drew Brees and Sean Payton, they don't know what to do. They don't know how to win without those guys. Michael Thomas, whatever's going on there, high ankle, hamstring, fighting with teammates, he hasn't been available. For that reason, excuse me, that's why I say that this team is overachieving. That's why this team is overachieving. No, I just had something stuck in my throat, some oatmeal, my overnight oats. But this team is overachieving. So I'm not surprised because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are playing lights out, but I got to give respect to Coach Payton for finding a way. Okay, wow. So when you look at this game this weekend, I think the Tampa Bay Bucs will win. Drew Brees is finding out a way. But they still don't have enough. And excuse my overnight oats.
Hey, remember when we were talking about the first? You're sorry about your overnight oats. You know what? I'm a day of oats guy. Just here's today. I have my oats, the overnight oats. No go. Nick, do you remember when after the first game of the season, we're like, that Drew Brees starting to look pretty old. Ball's not really flying out of his hand like it used to. And then we kind of dropped the storyline because Michael Thomas might get traded and Sean Payton got him hurt. So here's a stat from Dusty. Passes traveling 20 yards in the air, over 20 yards. Brady, 45. Breeze, 8. Combine that with the Bucs being the second highest blitzing team in the league. They're blitzing 43% of the time. I think we could be in for a rough night from Drew Brees. And we just let this storyline go that Drew Brees is the old Drew Brees. We just kind of just lost the storyline. I don't think Drew Brees is going to look pretty bad here, Nick.
I think that all ties back, I think that all ties back to the Michael Thomas storyline in this regard. I think everyone acknowledges Drew Brees and the Saints offense hasn't looked great. It's looked fine, but hasn't looked great. But I think for most of us, we're incorporating into it, Jenna, well, they haven't had Michael Thomas since week 1. The guy who set the NFL all-time record for catches in a season, his most reliable. By the way, Wilds, I'm not saying that's the correct analysis. I'm saying I think that's what's happened. I think that because Michael Thomas hasn't been there, Drew Brees, it's like, okay, well, what's he going to do? It's a little dump-offs to Alvin Kamara. He's trying to get on the same page with Emmanuel Sanders. We have found reasons for it, as opposed to maybe the reason is, even with Michael Thomas, there's a possibility, Jenna, that Drew Brees just is not going to push the ball down the field.
All right, we're going to dive deeper into this coming up a little later. Right now, I want to play a little over-under with you guys. So, remember, Hollywood Brown voiced his frustration over a lack of targets in the Ravens' loss to the Steelers last week. In other words, he wanted the damn ball. Well, Lamar got the message loud and clear, saying yesterday, we've got to do a better job of getting it to Hollywood. So, Brandon, over or under 10 targets for Hollywood Brown Sunday against the Colts?
Under. This team isn't built to throw it around the yard this way. And if they do, and if it is over, he's forcing it. And then he's putting his team in a dangerous situation. We're going to see more picks, and we don't want that. So I'm going with the under. I do think they need to find ways to not only get him the ball more, but all of those wide receivers and tight ends.
See, I'm going to go over here. I think that resonated. And the fact that Lamar mentioned it, Brandon, I think this is a good story. Here are his targets for the year. 6, 8, 10, 6, and 2 last year. In the last game. 2. Here's the problem. He played 94% of the snaps. He played 77 snaps and got the ball twice. He's like, guys, hey, old Hollywood Brown, I'm a soldier. Throw me the ball. So I think Lamar is going to try to force it to him. Whether or not that's good for the Ravens, I don't know. But I think he's going to try to feed Hollywood Brown now.
It's a good defense. This is a good defense. Don't force it.
He's only gone. Brandon, I think part of his frustration is this. You were there for Hollywood Brown's first game of his career when he lit up the Dolphins for like 150 yards, couple touchdowns. It's like, oh my God, this is great. The second game of his career, he was targeted 13 times. You know how many games since then he's been targeted more than 10 times? 0. So first game, he's killing folks. Second game, he's targeted all the time. And now he's a blocker. So I understand why he's frustrated, and I would hammer the under. If this was a real thing I could wager on, I would hammer the under.
Oh, he's a...
But you can't wager.
And Jenna, guess what's going to happen in the media? He's a diva. He's a wide receiver asking for a ball. Now he's a diva. Yeah. We always want the ball. There's always going to be a ball in our hands.
Just wait until he does a commercial. Just wait until he does a commercial. Oh,
you're going to ride that to its grave, Nick. Take a turn, guys. We're at the midway point of the NFL season, which is the perfect time for us to hand out mid-season awards. It's also the only time we can do it. They're good. They're next. This is First Things First.